What if I told you that the biggest threats to your faith aren't coming from where you think they are? They're not in some far-off place. They're in your pocket. They're in your shopping cart. They might even be in your daily routine. Today, we're diving deep into the First Commandment. I am the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. And you're going to discover that this ancient commandment is more relevant right now than ever before. Welcome back to Regina de Cor Carmeli. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we explore faith in the real world. No fluff, just truth. The First Commandment isn't just the first on the list. It's the foundation of everything else. According to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, this commandment embraces faith, hope, and charity. It's calling us to recognize and worship the one true God above absolutely everything else. When God gave this commandment to Moses on Mount Sinai, he was establishing something critical, his absolute primacy in our lives. And as Pope Benedict XVI said, the first commandment is the foundation of all the others. Without it, the entire moral structure crumbles. But here's the challenge. We're living in a world filled with false gods, and most of us don't even realize we're worshipping them. So what does the First Commandment actually require from us? It demands three theological virtues. First, faith. Believing in God and everything He has revealed. Not just intellectual agreement, but deep trust. Second, hope. Trusting in His promises even when life gets tough. Even when you can't see the path forward. Third, charity. Loving God above all things. And I mean all things. More than your career, more than your relationships, more than your comfort. St. Thomas Aquinas put it perfectly. Man is bound to direct all things to God as to his last end. Everything, and I mean everything, should point back to God. But Catholic theology also tells us what this commandment forbids. Idolatry, superstition, irreligion, and atheism. And this is where it gets really interesting for us today. Let's talk about idolatry. Now you might be thinking, I don't bow down to golden statues. I'm good. But idolatry in the 21st century doesn't look like ancient temples. It looks like your smartphone. Studies show the average American checks their phone 96 times a day. 96 times. And here's the question that should shake us. Do you reach for your phone before you reach for prayer in the morning? Because if you do, you've just revealed who you're really worshipping. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, these platforms are deliberately engineered to be addictive. In 2021, a Facebook whistleblower exposed that the company knew Instagram was harming teenage mental health, but prioritized profit over protection. These apps create what I call virtual idolatry, the worship of self-image, popularity, and validation. When we spend more mental energy crafting the perfect post than we do in prayer, we've made social media our God. And then there's consumerism. The global consumer culture doesn't just sell products, it sells salvation. Apple stores are designed like cathedrals. Brands have evangelists. Black Friday shopping has literally killed people. In 2008, a Walmart employee was trampled to death by Black Friday crowds. Think about that. Shopping motivated lethal violence. That's not just bad behavior, that's idolatry in action. American households carry $930 billion in credit card debt. When your debt prevents you from tithing, limits your charitable giving, or causes so much stress you can't pray, money has become your false god. But some violations are even more subtle. New Age spirituality is everywhere. Astrology, tarot cards, crystal healing. A 2018 study found that 29% of Americans believe in astrology, and that number is even higher among young adults. The church is clear. Practices that attribute power to objects independent of God, or that try to unveil the future through occult means, violate the First Commandment. Now, I'm going to say something controversial. Not all yoga is just exercise. When yoga is practiced as spiritual union with an impersonal cosmic force, it replaces relationship with the personal God. The US Conference of Catholic Bishops explicitly stated that Reiki finds no support either in the findings of natural science or in Christian belief. Here's another uncomfortable one: political idolatry. When your political ideology, whether left, right, or center, demands unconditional loyalty and shapes your moral judgment independent of Catholic teaching, it's become a false god. Pope Francis warned against ideological colonization that replaces Christian truth with secular frameworks. The bitter polarization we see today often reflects competing idolatries, not genuine disagreements among believers seeking truth. And here's perhaps the most dangerous form: practical atheism. That's when you believe in God on Sunday, but live the rest of the week as if He doesn't exist. You might have a crucifix on your wall, but do you have Christ in your decisions? Cardinal Robert Sarah said it best: the most dangerous form of atheism is practical atheism, those who believe but live as if God does not exist. Okay, so we've identified the problem. Now let's talk solutions. I have outlined these solutions in 5 steps. Step 1. Establish a prayer routine. Mother Teresa managed a vast humanitarian organization but maintained 4 hours of daily prayer. She said, "Prayer is not asking, prayer is putting oneself in the hands of God." Now, I'm not saying you need 4 hours. Most of us don't have that. But start small. 5 minutes of morning prayer, Mass at least once a week on Sunday, and try to squeeze an extra Mass or 2 or more during the week. Monthly confession. Consistency beats duration. Step 2. Create sacred spaces. Put a crucifix in your home. Set up a prayer corner. Have holy water at your door. These physical reminders help center your home on God. Step 3. Technology fasts. Set boundaries with your devices. No phones during meals, no screens in bedrooms, no social media on Sundays. The discomfort you feel reveals how dependent you become. Step 4. Examine your priorities. Do this exercise. Track your time for 1 week. Where does your time actually go? What about your money? What causes you the greatest anxiety? Because here's the truth. Whatever you spend the most time thinking about, whatever you can't stand to lose, whatever determines your major decisions, that is your functional God, regardless of what you claim to believe. A University of Notre Dame study found that only 8% of teenagers raised in homes where faith wasn't prioritized remained practicing Catholics as adults. But teens whose parents regularly discussed faith, prayed together, and lived consistently with Catholic teaching were far more likely to keep their faith. Step 5. Guard your Sundays. If you're regularly missing Mass for soccer tournaments, work events, or sleeping in, you're teaching yourself and your family that other things matter more than God. It's that simple. Now, some people hear all this and think, this sounds restrictive. This sounds like bondage. But here's the beautiful paradox of Christianity. The First Commandment doesn't enslave us. It liberates us. Think about it. When you make anything other than God your ultimate source of meaning, your career, your appearance, your relationships, your politics, your possessions, you become a slave to it. You're controlled by it. You're anxious about losing it. But when God is your ultimate priority, everything else finds its proper place. Your career becomes a vocation, not an idol. Your relationships become gifts, not demands. Your possessions become tools, not treasures. St. Augustine prayed, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." We were designed to worship. The question isn't whether we'll worship, it's what we'll worship. And every false god eventually disappoints, enslaves, or destroys us. Only the true God sets us free. So here's my challenge to you this week. The First Commandment Challenge. Complete a morning audit. Before you check your phone tomorrow morning, spend 5 minutes in prayer. Just 5 minutes. See what that does. Conduct an idol inventory. Write down your top 3 anxieties. What are you most afraid of losing? That's probably your functional God. Carry out a technology Sabbath. Choose one day this week, just one, where you drastically reduce your screen time. Use that time for prayer, scripture reading, or serving others. Make an honest examination. Ask yourself, if someone watched my life for a week, would they know I'm Catholic or even Christian? Would they see God as my priority? Here's the thing. This journey is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. That's why we have the church, the sacraments, and each other. If this video challenged you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the biggest false god in your life right now? Let's be honest with each other. That's how we grow. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to keep exploring what it means to live authentic Catholic faith in the modern world. Remember, the First Commandment isn't about limiting your freedom. It's about finding the only freedom that lasts. Put God first. Everything else will follow. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay faithful, stay focused, and keep fighting the good fight.